Welcome back to the video, and in today's video, we are going to be doing tight end NFL re-rank tier list. You guys seem to really like it when it got over like 100 views. They're re-ranking every single running back. I might have wide receivers. So the thing with wide receivers is there's so many wide receivers. That's gonna have to be a longer video. So I'm gonna do the re-ranking every single NFL tight end tiers again, just like the running back one. I did this one earlier, but now the season's over. It's been a while. Let's re-rank every single NFL tight end. If you guys are new, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful Friday. Almost the weekend, almost to the divisional games. I am super excited. And let's keep on with the NFL content. So at the top, we have the elite tight ends. Below that, we have the very solid tight ends. Below that, we have the decent tight ends. Below that, we have the meh tight ends. And below that, we have, well, go to the XFL tight ends, like the league below. So we got a long list of tight ends. Should be one from every single team. If there's not, I'm sorry. And let's get into this tier list. So the first tight end we are going to be ranking is Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz is decent. Not as good as I see with in Philadelphia or even the earlier years in Arizona, but he's still a decent tight end in my opinion. Maybe not the greatest year, but also he had injuries with quarterbacks. He had different quarterbacks almost every single week, so that could always be a problem. Kyler Murray just wasn't playing as good, and the Cardinals weren't playing as good, but I still think he is a decent tight end. Next up, we have Gerald Everett. Honestly, this year, he was very solid with the LA Chargers. He was very good. I feel like he was a big piece when, Mike Williams or Keenan Allen was out. He got a lot of recs and he got a lot of yardage. If you go look back at his stats from this year, he looked really good. Next up, we have Logan Thomas. Again, injuries, I'm just going to put him in med right now because we haven't seen him fully healthy in over 2 years, and we need to see that before we can put him anywhere higher. I still think he has good potential, but injuries have not been a good thing for him. Next up, we have Hunter Henry. I think he's still very solid. I'm not going to be ordering this, by the way, but I think he's still very solid. I think Hunter Henry has the potential to be like. Actually, we will rank them in order, just so you guys know. I was just thinking about that. I think Hunter Henry is better than Gerald Everett. I think Hunter Henry is still one of the best tight ends in the league. I don't think he's quite elite, but I think he is elite. Like again, it's saved for those top tight ends, but he's very solid. And I think another reason why I think the Patriots had almost a playoff record. Hunter Henry is a big factor of that. Just a big tight end that can get you yards. He's pretty consistent. He'll get you like 4x, 40 yards and touchdown per game. Very solid. Next up, we have Mark Andrews, and I know he did not have the greatest year, but I think he's still elite. I think the main reason why he didn't have as good of a year because Lamar Jackson was injured for most of the year, and obviously him and Lamar, they connect, they click together, so I think that's a good reason why. I thought Mark Andrews is still an amazing tight end. Even with a down year, he's still in a decent year. I just think his yards and touchdowns and recs, they all went down a little bit. Next up, I think this is going to be Cameron Brate. Cameron Brate, I mean, he's getting older. I wouldn't say he's quite good at the XSL. He's just kind of bottom of the meh. Nobody really needs to talk about him too much. He's kind of just meh. He'll catch a few passes every once in a while, but Buccaneers didn't really look that good, and he's not really a main piece of their franchise. Next up, we have Dalton Schultz. This year, top of very solid. Not quite elite, but he's very solid. One of the best tight ends still in the game. Just a guy that is a great route runner, can catch balls pretty easily, and just a guy that is always a reliable option for Dak Prescott, and he's always been that. That's what a tight end is, though. Realistically, it's a big guy that can make some big plays happen and is a reliable target. And I think Dalton Schultz was exactly that for Dak Prescott. Next up, we have Dallas Goedert. Again, last year I'd be saying he's elite. This year, with injuries, I think he's a little bit worse than Dalton Schultz. Still really good though. What a year for still for Dallas Goedert. Again, when he wasn't injured, he was still really good. He was still a beast. I think because AJ Brown and Devontae Smith were so good, that obviously boosted, that kind of lowered his expectations of how good he was going to be, how much yards he was going to get. But he's still a really good tight end. I think on any other team he would have exploded, but with how many offensive weapons they have in Philadelphia, obviously it's going to be less. Next up, we have George Kittle, elite. This year, he showed why. When Brock Purdy came in, he just went off. In those 6 games, he had like almost an average of like 100 yards a game. He was ridiculous with Brock Purdy. They connected. He did well in the playoffs as well. I expect nothing less of him. He showed back to why he is the second best tight end in the league. Next up, we have Kyle Pitts. Injuries were obviously a problem this year. He was just injured a lot. So I'm still gonna put him in decent, still top of decent. I need to see him play. I need to see him make sure that he gets more touchdowns and gets more yards before I can put him into that very solid to elite tier. We know how good he can be. We know he can be elite. We just need to see it fully in effect. Next up, we have David Njoku. This is a bit of a tough one. Njoku had a very decent year. I'm gonna put him in very solid. I'm not even gonna be honest. I think he had a very solid year. I think that he exploded with that Cleveland Browns offense. I thought he overall just played better, in my opinion, and I think it kind of showed in the stats. Next up, we have is that Alec Oking? I don't know how to say the rest of his name. That's not Grey Dulcich. I think this is gonna be Alec Oken, whatever. I don't know how to say his name. He was kind of mad because legitimately he was not the starting tight end there. He was meant to be the starting tight end, and then Greg Dulcich came in and he actually played really, really well. Dulcich I'd be putting in like decent. Next up we have Dawson Knox. Although he had a down year, I think he's still a really good tight end. I think he's still ahead of Njoku. I think he's still ahead of Joe Lever. I think he's still ahead of Hunter Henry. I think he's right there. A lot of very solid tight ends, and that's kind of what a tight end is. Most tight ends are. They're always very solid. Next up we have Evan Ingram. Thoroughly going off of this year, he was elite, and he was even better than Mark Andrews. Evan Ingram surprised me so much. He had an amazing year. Stats went up a ton. Yards went up a ton. Everything about him went up a ton. And I feel like with the Jaguars, him and Trevor Lawrence clicked. You love to see it. Evan Ingram, after going from the Giants to Jaguars, just was amazing this year. Next to be Travis Kelce. I mean, there's no really debate here. He's still the best tight end in the league, and there's no question about it. I'm just going to move on. Next up, we have Mo Alie-Cox. Did not really see him too much this year. I don't think he was really used that much. I'm just going to put him at the top of meh. No, a little behind than Logan Thomas. I mean, he just was not used that much, and also just with how bad that Colts offense was. Next up, we have Noah Fant. He had a decent year. I'd say it's right about there. He had a decent year. Nothing spectacular about him. Nothing insane about him, but he still had a decent year. I thought he still did decent. I think he was a good touchdown machine for Geno Smith. Didn't get as much yards as he did in Denver, but he was still reliable and he was still valuable. Next up, we have Darren Waller. I'm sorry, Darren. You were not great. I'm still going to give you credit. I'm going to put Darren Waller at the bottom of decent. Talking this like 2, 3 years ago, obviously he's elite. But he's been injured, and even when he came back this year, he did not look good. He did not look like the old Darren Waller that we saw before. Realistic right now, he's at the bottom of decent. He's just in that average range. Next up, we have Cole Kmet. This year, again, Cole Kmet had a very good year. I would say for a year, he's probably right around here. He did better than Dawson Knox this year. I'm gonna be honest. Cole Kmet and Justin Fields were like, once Darnell got hurt, that was the connection. That was the only connection Justin Fields had, and I think he showed it. Cole Kmet was really, really good this year. Caught a lot of passes. Really improved from his rookie year. I thought he had a really solid year. Next up, we have Pat Freiermuth. Really was not involved that much, as he was, still was involved, I would say. I think he deserves to be top of a decent, but he wasn't as involved as he normally is. And honestly, that is a thing. He just wasn't involved as much. So I'm just going to put him in decent. Still touchdown machine, but yards-wise, not as much. Next up, I actually do not know who this is. I think it's Jeremy Sprinkle, and I know you guys don't know who that name is. You might not. I think this is Jeremy Sprinkle, but I do not know for sure because we already ranked Logan Thomas. I'm just gonna say go to the XFL because no matter all Washington Commanders tight ends were terrible. I'm just gonna say go to the XFL. Next up we have CJ Uzomah. Obviously, was not as good as he was in Cincinnati last year, but I think he still had a decent year with the Jets. I think he was still valuable. I think Tyler Conklin kind of took his spot, so I think he deserves to be a meh, top of meh. It's not his fault. It's just Conklin just was better than him this year. Next up, we have TJ Hawkinson going to Minnesota. He was elite. And at the end of the year, he was elite. I would put him here. I think he's not as good as George Kittle or Travis Kelce, but I think he was really, really good this year. Especially when he went to Minnesota. Kirk Cousins, that was Kirk Cousins' favorite target at the end of the year. Not even Justin Jefferson. That was his favorite target. He's just a big guy that can get in the red zone and it can deal some damage to you. He'll get some touchdowns. He'll get some yardage. He's also a good blocker. Give him some credit. He's elite. Next up, we have Austin Hooper. He's kind of meh at this point. I think he deserves to be ahead of all these guys because all these guys really did not play well at all. I think if we're being actually, you know what, Alec needs to go into the XFL. I'm sorry, he needs to go into the XFL. Yeah, but with Austin Hooper, he's just not that good anymore. I think his prime has kind of left him, and he's still valuable. It's just not maybe not the best fit in, where is he now? Tennessee? I don't even know where he is now. Next up, we have, who is this? I know him. I recognize his face. I want to say it's like Marshall. Ian Marshall? I don't know if I'm right or not. I legitimately do not know who this is. I'm just gonna say go to the XFL because I do not know who it is. So I cannot rate him. Next up, we have Tyler Higbee. Higbee actually had a really decent year, and I think a lot of people think, oh, the Rams. I think he did better than all of these guys, honestly. Higbee had a really decent year, especially when Baker Mayfield came. He was really, really good, really, really valuable. I think he had a couple games where he went over 100 yards, had a touchdown. So I think when he had an actual decent quarterback and not like Bryce Perkins, he had a decent year. I think people just think about the Rams, all their players did bad because their team was terrible, but I think Higbee had a really solid year. Next up, we have Adam Troutman. Wasn't used as much as he was. Honestly, Taysom Hill was the main tight end that year. So I'm just going to put Troutman in. We know he has potential, so I'm just going to put him at the bottom of decent. But he was not used as much as he was last year when he was used pretty much, and he actually was pretty valuable. Next up, we have Irv Smith. I mean, wasn't even the main tight end after TJ Hawkinson left, so I'm just going to put him at the. I'll put him right here. Next up, we have Mike Gesicki. Mike Gesicki's pretty bad. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that. He's decent, but here below. Oh wait, sorry. What just happened? He's here. He's right here. He's below Tyler Higbee because I think Tyler Higbee had a better year, but I think he's better than Pat Farmer. He still had a good year, just not as good of a year. Again, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill were just better than him. Next up, we have Hayden First. Actually, in Cincinnati, he did really, really well, and I'm not saying he's very good, but I think he was decent. And I think he deserves to be like running around here. He wasn't amazing by any means, but I still think he had a decent year. And I think Atlanta did not give him a chance. And when he went to Cincinnati, he really got that chance. Next, I'd be a Brevin Jordan. I mean, it's not really his fault, but he's on a pretty bad team. I'm just going to put him here. I think he is valuable on other teams, just not his team. And the last but not least, we have Robert Tonyan. This year, I'm not gonna lie, he's top of meh. He was not that good this year. It wasn't his fault again. But I think Aaron Rodgers should have really targeted more. And that's the end of my tier list. If you guys like this tier list, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. Comment down below where you put these NFL tight ends and if you think I was wrong or not. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!